Morning, everyone. It's Saturday. I'm in a good mood. What are we going to talk about today? Let's talk about crystals for a little bit. Okay. Now, the first thing you have to know is that they're not solid. Okay. Just like glass. I don't know if a lot of you know this, but glass is actually not a solid either. It's kind of in between solid and liquid. In fact, glass is actually an incredibly slow moving liquid. That was an energy drink, not a beer. Glass is an incredibly slow-moving crystal, liquid. In fact, if you look at glass, that's a couple hundred years old, maybe even 1,000 years old if it's made it. It's more dense at the bottom than it is at the top. Okay, crystals are not a solid. Okay, they vibrate at a high frequency, so they have the appearance of being solid. Okay, it's a vibrational energy that can be charged like a battery. Okay, now some you charge the crystals by leaving out in the sun, some in the moonlight. You need a crystal expert to tell you how to do it, but they do different things. Well, what are they? Well, in my first book, okay, which came out a couple years ago, but I wrote 10 years ago, literally. I wrote about how a few years ago, so at this point, it's like 15, 20 years, what they were able to do, scientists, they were able to embed a document and a short movie clip in the crystal and retrieve it. See, crystals are actually the future of computer storage, okay? There are two things on Earth that you can store information in that have nearly unlimited space. One is DNA, which I talk about in my second book, okay, where one of the characters embeds something in DNA, and one are crystals. Okay, even small, like the gigabyte thumb drives that you have, like the 30 gigabyte thumb drives, they pale in comparison to what a quartz crystal can store. And they've actually known about this forever. In the 70s, the Superman movie that came out, the original, they show you him in the cave of crystals. See, they knew crystals back then. Okay. Now, Plato said 9,500 years prior to when he wrote this that Atlantis sunk in a day and night of misfortune. Okay. This brings us to Edgar Cayce. Okay. Edgar Cayce was known as the sleeping prophet, and I implore you guys to check out his work. See, what Edgar Cayce did was he was able to put himself in a slow hypnotic trance, okay, where he was able to basically access the Akashic records, and he did a lot of readings on this, okay. One of the things that he channeled was from the Akashic records, and he told us that Atlantis fell because they overcharged the crystals. Okay, see, Atlantis used to run and get their energy from crystals, but they weren't careful, and it caused a massive life-ending explosion, which sent them into the sea. Okay, we are literally relearning all this information. There's literally nothing new under the sun. Everything is learned and relearned, and we go through cycles of civilizations every 12 to 15,000 years of raising our vibration, learning, and then a cataclysm happens, like an ice age or something, and then we go back down, and then we rise and rise and rise, and then we go back down. Being in the age of Aquarius now, we're about to have an explosion of consciousness raising, okay, because that's where we are at right now, okay. Crystals are a life force, okay. Now, I know that the Catholic Church and the Bible speaks against it, okay, but what they do is they vibrate at healing frequencies. For example, 432 hertz, that's a harmonic frequency. In the ancient Sumerian king list, okay, when you add up the ages of all the kings, it comes out to 432,000 years that they ruled. But 432,000 is not an age. It's not a time frame. Okay, that's a harmonic frequency. That's 432. In fact, music used to be harmonically frequenced at 432 degrees. I mean, not degrees, 432 hertz before they changed it to 440. Would you like to hear the names of some people who used 432? You've got names like Michael Jackson, Prince, you've got Kurt Cobain, you've got Amy Winehouse, you've got Jimi Hendrix, you've got Janis Joplin. I'm just going to leave it there, and you guys can make the connections for yourselves as to what happened. But basically now it's 440 hertz. If you were to go on Google or use a search engine that you like, but Google will still show this, okay? Believe me, Google, and I wouldn't use DuckDuckGo because they're openly working with Bill Gates, but Google, okay, for example, you can still get some decent information from Google, okay? Look up what 432 hertz looks like as a pattern. and then look up what 440 hertz looks like as a pattern. Okay. The second frequency it can harmonize at is 111 hertz, which is a healing frequency that actually obliterates cancer cells. Okay. So what I want you guys to do is get into crystals. Okay. You have to find an expert who knows about a lot of them. Keep them because they're energy, they're life force. It's energy. Okay. In a sense, they may not be sentient, but they are life. They are alive. Okay. And again, they vibrate at a high frequency, so they give the illusion, the appearance of a solid. So that's all I wanted to talk to you guys about right now. Look into Edgar Casey. Okay. And I will talk to you guys soon.